Hi, for this latest edition of TWC Soundbites, I'm absolutely delighted that I've been joined today by Andrew Selley, Bidfood CEO. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, albeit remotely.
Yeah.
So are you ready for this, for my 20
I think
questions?
so.
Okay, right, cool. Let's kick off then. So, I guess I just explained to you off camera, but for context, I kind of feel like Bidfood is enormous and therefore somewhat protected through this. Can you kind of give me a sense of the impact it's had on you as a business?
Yes, I think like everyone else, our business has been, well, everyone else in the food service industry, our business has been severely compromised by the overnight closure of the hospitality sector. We do a reasonable number of hospitals, care homes, schools, and we also do all the food for the prisons, which is obviously still ongoing. But all of our pubs, restaurants, hotels, leisure, tourism, travel, etc., has sort of disappeared overnight. So we're in the same position as everyone else, really.
Okay, all right. And I've seen through the trade press that you, as an organisation, managed to pivot fairly quickly. I think I was on LinkedIn on the day you announced it, actually, that you'd gone direct to consumer. And I'm also conscious you've been doing food boxes along with breaks to the vulnerable. So you have developed new ways of working by the sounds of it. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the really pleasing thing for me is that when times were good, as it were, within the company we sort of lived by three values, and I think the real test of those values as to whether they're relevant or not is how you react in bad times. And I'm pleased to say that during the bad times, those core values have shone through. So if you'll let me expand on that for a minute, it'd be helpful. So care, we say, take pride in what you do no matter what you do. That's really shown through in obviously the way our team have reacted. We're a resilient business. We've got fantastically proactive people, and they've all reacted to the situations as they've arisen. And obviously we've taken a lot of care in terms of how we look after our employees and our customers and our suppliers, etc., in these difficult times. Secondly, share, work together to make great things happen. Wow, I wasn't expecting to be in partnership with our biggest competitor, who, between ourselves and Breaks, as of now, we've delivered nearly 2 million care packs to individual vulnerable people at a sort of a 99.9/100% service level. But I've got to say, Hugo and Paul and Alex and the team at Breaks have been a really easy team to work with, and I think collectively we've put all differences aside and delivered something really special for that vulnerable section of society. And our third value is dare. We're taking brave steps to deliver extraordinary results. And as you say, setting up direct to consumer, home delivery, click and collect within 7 days has worked really well. And also just innovative ways of getting rid of short dated stock and the other challenges which we face as wholesalers has all really, to me, epitomised the fact the company's been living by the values and delivering against those. So as the leader of the business, is really pleasing and satisfying to see that those are core values that have really seen us through and will continue to see us through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was watching you on the FWD webinar the other day, and you mentioned that you were hopeful that by Christmas the business might be back to about 60% of its former volumes, which kind of gave me some context. But can you be a little bit more specific about what that means right now?
Well, I think, like everyone else now, generally wholesale, depending on your mix of business, is between 20, 30, 40% of your prior volumes. And to be honest, my guess is as good as anyone else's. But if I look at the types of businesses we supply, and the sort of the way that we think the emerging from lockdown may happen, then who's to say when gyms, bowling alleys, bingo halls, etc., will be back in business. We do ferries, we do airline lounges, tourism, theme parks. I have no idea when those places will be allowed to operate again. We've got a rough idea as to potentially how hotels, restaurants may re-emerge, and contract catering in the workplace. But again, given the sort of the drive towards home working, we're not sure what the level of demand will be for contract catering in the workplace, etc. So, that's a rough guide that we're working on. But I think, like everyone else, we revise our forecasts every week, depending on what news comes out from the government in terms of what may or may not be relaxed in the future.
Yes, it's certainly running a business intuitively at the moment, I think, yes. Isn't it? And have you had to furlough any staff, or have they all managed to be redeployed onto your new areas of work?
Oh, no, we've had to furlough, a large number of staff, both on the operational side and obviously in the sort of the business support side as well. And I'm really thankful to all the staff who've, I suppose, embraced that. Most of them would rather be at work. So we recognise that brings its own challenges as well. But we've made a lot of efforts to keep communicating, both to the people that are within the business on a daily basis, and also to those who are on furlough. We've just launched an app called Engage 4, which is specifically for the people on furlough, which is all around giving them access to business news, allows them to form their own chat groups, has surveys and polls and all that sort of stuff. So really just trying different ways to keep those people who are on furlough engaged with what's happening in the business.
And you mentioned that one of the central tenets of Bidfood was caring. So, I mean, I guess staff safety, and you mentioned customer safety as well, actually, is paramount. But is it actually possible in the kind of operational environment that you guys work in? I mean, I watch my postman and wonder how he's doing it. So it must be really hard for you.
No, I mean, like many businesses, we've had to introduce brand new sort of safe systems of work. Sort of done those in conjunction with the unions, etc. So it is possible to follow the public health guidelines in terms of social distancing, making sure that you're staggering shifts, staggering breaks, doing all those sorts of things in the telesales environment, making sure that you've got a spare desk in between everybody, etc. So I mean, it's a challenge, but I think if you look at the business and the food industry in general, I think generally our safety and hygiene standards are higher than normal anyway, because of the type of environment we operate in, and I think that's reflected in the very low level of sort of self-isolation that we've had, and long may it continue.
Yeah, it feels like we might have it for a while as well, so I guess it's good to get it right early and get used to it. So in terms of sort of looking at how things might evolve and what's going to happen in the channel, as I said, coming into this, I kind of had the view, obviously incorrectly, that Bidfood's huge, therefore it's got less of a problem. But it has felt to me for a while like one of the dangers of our current crisis is that the big could get bigger because they've kept going, and the small could ultimately, I mean, they've disappeared at the moment, but that could perhaps be a permanent thing. I mean, do you agree with that? And do you have any views on whether it's something that can be managed, mitigated, or is it an unfortunate fact of where we are?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a matter of big or small. I think it's a matter of how good an operator you are and how good a performer you are. We operate a very decentralized business, so each of our depot general managers is in charge of their own small business. We operate obviously some independent wholesale businesses as well, like Cater Food and Southlinks Food Service. So we understand the economic impact on both, and there isn't any real difference. Bidfood is 20 times the challenges of a Southlinks. We're all operating a lot of fixed estate, fixed assets, freezers, etc. And we all have the same challenges in terms of getting payment from customers and being chased for payment by suppliers. So size is not a determinant of future success. I think it's your ability and the capability of your teams.
Yeah, so the only way to mitigate this is actually in the strength of your operation, basically.
Yeah, it's in the strength of your people. It's always going to be that way. I think the key thing that we just try to do all the time is keep communicating, because we understand our customers are going through difficult times, but so are we. So you know, we want to keep communicating with them in terms of both in terms of getting payment for work already done, and then also for working with them as to how they might reopen. Conversely, we know that suppliers have got equal challenges, especially those suppliers that are only focused on the hospitality sector. So again, we're sort of trying to communicate with them and explain our situation and work out things that work for both businesses on the upstream side as well.
Yeah, I've always kind of been proud to be part of a sector that's sort of robust and innovative and sort of almost fights for survival at times, it feels like. So, I mean, this is probably harder, well, it's certainly harder than I've known in my career here. I mean, do you feel optimistic for the future of the sector, or do you have a sense of pessimism?
Well, I'm always optimistic. I think, you know, as you say, we are a sector, both in terms of the hospitality sector and the wholesale sector. You know, they're both, you know, business sectors that are basically run inherently by entrepreneurs, whether they're entrepreneurs who work for a bigger business or they're entrepreneurs who run their own business. You know, the entrepreneurial flair is always there, and that's, I think, what has demonstrated the different ways that both we've adapted, but also our customers have adapted. You know, in terms of, you know, their drive to offer deliveries from pubs and takeaways from pubs, or turning coffee shops into high street grocery outlets or whatever. You know, there's that constant, you know, feeding of stories of customers adapting, and we're just happy to help them with that and serve that new need that they have.
You've just set me up beautifully for my final question, which was, I'm mindful that in your role, you've probably seen more than most of us, actually, because you touch so many different customer points. Is there any standouts for you in terms of fabulous entrepreneurialism, or, you know, someone who's just done a great job that you can tell us, sort of paint a picture of what's been going on out there?
Well, I think there's a few, obviously, of you know, customers who used to do a mixture of you know, eat in and delivery, who've now switched to delivery, which you would expect. But I don't know, if you look at something like Wimpy, one of our long-standing customers that's only ever really done dine-in, you know, they've really ramped up their delivery options. I was reading today of a independent customer of ours called Figo Coffee Shop, who've really got a good high street location. They've sort of piled high their window with things for the public to buy from a retail perspective, both, you know, baked goods, but also grocery items, etc. And they've adapted their website to do deliveries and all that sort of stuff. So I think, yeah, it's a constant view of innovation. I think, yeah, we're going to see delivery is obviously become more important, and will be here to stay. I think that trend, you know, to a greater or lesser extent will remain, and therefore we have to adapt to that in terms of what we're offering in terms of packaging solutions and delivery solutions for the customers. So, yeah, everything, yeah, as they always say, a bit of a cliche, but every challenge is an opportunity, and this is on that basis, this must be the biggest opportunity going, because it's certainly the biggest challenge we've ever faced.
Yes, I think it was Mushtaq Ahmed on one of these earlier that said it's like doing an MBA every day at the moment. It's sort of
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you're inordinately busy, but I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much indeed.
No problem. Thank you very much. Cheers.